stop. Okay, this is Peter Stampfel on October 5, 2000. Okay, we're ready to go, Peter, and you know that we're recording, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, as I said to you in the email, I'm writing a book that deals in large part with Rounder Records, and they've been cooperating a lot, although they're not, they haven't asked for a right to pass on the manuscript and what have you, and I'm talking to people in the company, I'm talking to ex-employees, I'm talking to people who love them and people who are mad about them, and I'm mad at them, and, you know, people who don't like them, and I'm doing other things as well. I'm talking to other types of traditional musicians and bluegrass musicians and blues musicians.
Do you have a basic slant, or,
Yeah, I do.
Are you basically, pro-rounder, or... I am fundamentally pro-rounder. I approached Ken Irwin at a conference, and the reason I did it is because as I was thinking about what I wanted to do and how to structure this, I realized that I just owned a lot of Rounder records and had owned a lot of Rounder records for a real long time, and so my primary thrust is how you go about creating a catalog that is to me as impressive as that. Now they're having they've gotten a lot of flack in the media lately. They've had union problems and problems with growing and problems with hiring people from big record companies that are coming in and changing things. And to me that stuff is just kind of an interesting story. I don't think it diminishes the past 30 years. It's just kind of what happens to people as they, I don't know, get older, change, maybe their interests change, and how do you adapt? How do you succeed and then adapt, and what does that do to you? So that's kind of an interesting part of the story. But to me, the interesting story about Rounder is the diversity of those records, how they're just all over the board. That's what I kind of like about Rounder. And I think my slant is that if you want to, I think the world needs, this is going to sound too absolute, but I kind of think the world needs less folklorists and more people who are willing to say that traditional musicians should get, contracts if they want them, and they should get records made, and if they want to get out there and sell their records, that's fine. That sort of stuff. I don't have a slant that says, I don't know, keep them down on the farm and record their music on their porch and get upset if they want to change things or something like that. So I don't know. That's all kind of in generalities. Does it answer your question at all? Yeah.
Okay.
I basically have mixed feelings about them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean, I had a 2-hour conversation with this fellow, Glenn Jones, who was recently fired by Rounder under very acrimonious circumstances. And, I read about Glenn, and it just made me cringe. I just said, how could they be so stupid and wrong-headed? And then I look at all these great records they put out, and I say, gee, how wonderful that is. So it's, I go back and forth. How did you come to get to know them? I mean, they named their record company after your band, in part at least. So how did you, fall into their orbit?
Well, I first heard about them in 69.
Mm-hmm.
On a bathroom wall, as a matter of fact.
What was the Ken splayed against one, or was it written down? What did it?
Well, we were at a gig, and I went to the bathroom, and there was a graffiti on the wall that said, "Put the Rounders on Rounder." And I thought, what? And I just started hearing of Rounder records about that time. And
the gig was in Cambridge or Boston?
In Massachusetts somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember whether this is 1969 or 70, actually.
Right.
But probably 69. 69, I would say.
Yeah.
And I had barely heard of them before as being there's this new small record company, and
so that was my first actual exposure. I don't know whether I heard of them before I saw them on the bathroom wall.
Right. And how did you call them?
Pardon?
Did you call them then?
Well, no. What happened was that we were looking for a contract with a. My first up was we were looking for a big label deal at the time. This is 1969, and we had just parted company with Elektra, and we were looking at Atlantic and Metromedia at the time. So, although in retrospect, considering distribution and everything like that, it wouldn't have been a bad idea to go with Rounder back then.
Right.
My first attitude was we're looking for a big company because we want to sell lots of records. Ha 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 ha. Very. I mean, in retrospect, it was kind of delusional.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
But, never know, right?
But so you called. So how did you end up getting in touch with them? I mean, did you call them up and say, can we talk, or did it come about a different way?
Well, shortly after that, I think it was a subsequent time that we were playing in Boston, and me and my ex-lady Antonia were
right.
Looking for a place to stay after a gig because we've generally been a crash on friends floor kind of band as opposed to a
right.
As opposed to a real band that makes
sure.
Yeah. And so after the gig, we were walking around singing "Can I Sleep in Your Barn Tonight, Mister?" and like something like parallel second harmony, like totally distorted harmony.
Yeah.
And Ken Irwin came over and said that you guys need a place to stay. And we said, yes, we do. And so at the time, the Rounder House was a big old couple-story house, which was the combination home and warehouse.
Yeah.
And I don't even know whether they had an assistant yet.
Right.
Because right around this time they started looking for help, and they were concerned about the fact that all of a sudden they were like they were a collective then. Right?
Yeah.
And they were very concerned about the idea of suddenly having to be an employer because they didn't really like that. The idea of that role was kind of off-putting to them, and they were conflicted about the finding that they had to do it because suddenly there was going to be some more work than they could handle.
Right.
Anyway, we went over to the house, and they have, besides piles of records all over every flat surface and every shelf and every chair and everything. They had a poster on the wall for Nolan Strong and the Diablos.
Mm-hmm.
And Nolan Strong and the Diablos is a Detroit rhythm and blues group from the 50s that their big hit is The Wind, which was covered by the Jesters in the 70s, in which some people are under the illusion that actually the Jesters recorded it as kind of a retro, a doo-wop song.
Uh-huh.
But actually the Diablos did it back in 55 or 6, and it's one of the most strange and lovely rhythm and blues singles of all time. And we were extremely impressed by a Nolan. We'd never seen a Nolan Strong and Diablos poster anywhere. And so they actually were distributing 2 LPs by the group, and they gave us the 2 LPs as well as a poster, and we were extremely impressed because this thing was almost a talisman to us,
Right.
So it's strange the things that make you, it's like
connect with.
Girl. It was her green eyes. I saw those green eyes. It was sort of like that.
Right. No, the things that make you connect with people are out of the blue sometimes.
Yes, they are. So that was our first extensive hang out with them.
Yeah.
And they had actually seen us play when we were. The first time we came to Boston, there was a benefit for a children's hospital happening in this folk music club on Auburn Street, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they had said that they apparently just walked by as we were playing, and they said that we were their first experience with old-timey music, me and Weber.
Right.
And I found this really surprising because Cambridge is one of the places where old-timey music really took off.
Right.
I mean, because of people like Eric Von Schmidt and the Charles River Valley Boys.
Sure.
So I thought it was kind of odd that us out-of-towners were the first people that actually gave exposed them to this kind of stuff. But
do you have any idea when this was?
Oh yeah, it was 1963, and it was
okay.
the month of late spring or early summer.
Okay, well, that's not surprising because they had just kind of gotten to college there, and so they hadn't been in Cambridge too long. Well, Bill grew up around there, but Ken hadn't been there too long. They got there in '62, fall of '62, to go to college.
Okay.
So within 6-7 months, they caught your act, but their
right.
exposure to Cambridge music hadn't gone further back too long.
Right. Well, we were the concert was actually on the street. It was there was a little stage in front of the music store, and so a lot of people that wouldn't ordinarily go out of their way to find this music were suddenly there. It was in their face on the street, And this is a lengthy event. It must have gone on for like all day, at least a 12 or 16 hour, possibly a 2-day event.
Right. But you didn't meet them. You just learned about this later, right?
Just learned about that later.
Yeah, because Rounder was years away, right?
Right. I think did they form in 69 or 70?
70.
70. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was many years away, and they had all kind of gone through college, left Cambridge, come back to Cambridge, and ultimately formed the label. Did you talk to them about this business of any agonies they had about hiring people to work in what was their collective and how they felt about that?
Not much. They were I kind of commiserated with them. I mean, as long as you're paying them a reasonable amount of money, what's the problem?
Right.
And,
right.
At first, they had, I think they got maybe just 1 or 2 assistants to start out with.
Yeah.
Who were also living at in the building as well.
Sure.
I don't know how long it was until their original idea was to keep everything in print, sort of on the Folkways model.
Right.
But naturally, this becomes impossible after a while because of the sheer bulk of product.
Yeah.
Not to mention the idea of warehousing a recording that maybe sells in the mid 3 figures,
Yeah.
and they did do a lot of records that sold under 1,000 copies.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Now, your first record for them was the Alleged in Their Own Time, right? Is that right? Yeah. And how, were they involved in the recording of that at all, or that's a real old-timey kind of record?
Yeah. Well, actually, what happened was that I was having a big falling out with the Rounders at the time for any number of reasons, which I don't know whether they're relevant to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm always interested in gossip, but you can tell me if or not as you like.
Well, basically, the Rounders were always a democracy. My idea of a band was that one man, one vote, and if whoever's song it is gets to make rules about the arrangement.
Right.
But aside from that, everything is totally up for grabs.
Right.
And when Robin joined the band, he thought that he seemed to feel that someone should be in charge.
Okay.
And which I thought was kind of ridiculous, because I mean it's yes, boss.
Right. Yes, boss.
And so what would happen was that I was still in charge. Whenever anyone had to get fired, I was the person that had to talk to them. So
Right.
On one hand, Robin was deciding that it was his, like he was in the catbird seat. On the other hand, whenever someone had to get fired, it was my job.
Right.
And then Robin decided that everyone should move to Boston because New York is awful, and so everyone moved to Boston except for me. And I went up there for a rehearsal. We were going to have a multi-day rehearsal, and I brought a whole bunch of new songs. And I was interested in broadening the kind of songs that we did.
Right.
I wanted to do more songs that were pre-rock and roll pop, and more songs that were simply pretty, kind of pretty ballad kind of things. Not changing to that sort of thing exclusively, but just to do it also, so that I've always liked the idea of a huge mix of kinds of material and styles,
Right.
And Robin decided that these songs were not appropriate. They're not real Rounder songs. And so everyone basically agreed that, gee, that's right, Robin, that's not a real, So I was extremely pissed off at this point. And also they wanted to move to Oregon, which is kind of the last, I had no wish whatsoever to move to Oregon.
Right.
So feelings were pretty. On the other hand, I was a speed freak, and speed freaks are not exactly the most easy people to have to put up with. So
right.
that was definitely one of the issues. Which is to say that I am not certainly a totally blameless victim of thoughtless and conniving people by any means. It was anyway. So they were going to go to Oregon, and Rounder wanted to make a Rounder album, but they really wanted to make their dream was to make an acoustic Holy Motor Rounder album with just me and Steve.
That's what the label wanted.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And
I get confused, so when you say Rounder, sometimes I'm not sure if you're talking about the band or the label.
Right, it was the label.
Okay,
yeah.
It was the label wanted, okay.
And in the meantime, I wanted to record with my old friend Luke Faust, who's one of the people that I he's a lost legend, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to New York in '59, I just played banjo for a couple of for less than a year.
Right.
And or a little more than a year, actually. And naturally, I was curious as to who was the best banjo player in New York. And everyone said Luke Faust was. And
right.
I said, well, I guess he plays Scruggs style. I guess because all the hot shit players like Eric Weisberg and Marshall Brickman and Roger Sprung were Scruggs pickers. And everyone said, well, no, he frails. I was kind of surprised that all these Scruggs pickers were saying that the best banjo player is a guy who frails. anyway, so when I first heard Luke, I was really knocked out by his playing and singing.
Yeah.
And we've been playing together ever since. And so I wanted him to be in the record as well. And we did try to do a couple of Robin songs with the full band, but Robin was not happy with the way they came out. So there would have been a couple of the full band more rocky things on the album as well, but Robin was not happy with the way they sounded. So that's why the record was kind of a compromise between the old Rounders and what the Rounders had become, which was a really excellent 7-piece rock and roll band.
Right.
I really regret the fact that we did make a serious record. Then what we should have done was some seriously edited live recording.
Yeah.
Without lengthy breaks and stuff like that, because at the time the people in the band were killer players live and kind of inhibited in the studio.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of a long.
Well, I understand that. I mean, the studio kind of contained them, or just shut them down a little bit.
Well, no, it wasn't what the studio did to them. It was their
I mean, their reaction to the studio.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What did the label have any involvement in the making of the record or the song selection, or did they just want you to go do it and they put it out?
Oh, well, they were the label was there, and one of the problems was that Weber was kind of crazy at the time, also he was seriously needing amphetamine because he was kind of exhausted and out of it. So
right.
He was you should talk to Bill about this. I don't remember the details, but he had got he called this woman who apparently dealt amphetamine was having this serious conversation with the guy she was getting married to, and Weber called up and had the operator break into the phone call because it was an emergency to try to we'd been playing some amphetamine over. Bill was there at the time, and he was rolling on the floor. It was Weber actually convinced the operator to do it, which is kind of. Anyway, they're very in on the whole process, and Bill Nolan was at the mixing along with me, and Jim Rooney was the engineer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they were very hands-on about the whole thing.
Did they have an approach? Did they want to? Well, you said I guess they wanted to make a more just duo old-timey record.
Yeah.
And so they were actually. You wanted to move forward a little bit at that point.
No, I had no problem with that because I was so pissed off at at the rest of the band.
Oh, I see.
That in retrospect, I wish that we would have. We finally did. They were back in town in '77 for a funeral, and I managed to line up a studio and with the help of the Unholy Modal Rounder manager,
right.
A deal with the Delphi. That's one that was just re-released in CD format.
Yeah. Okay. I know the record. That's the last round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole band was actually recorded at that time, but we were, we had minimal time to play together. We had less than a week to record. It was in the '90s, and the air conditioner was broken. And again, the people were kind of studio intimidated, so that no one was really everyone is sort of playing at sort of a C level compared to the usual A level of their live performances. Anyway, so the rounder one, I wanted to have it be an acoustic with more of my, New York friends and, kind of thing.
Now, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying about that.
Now, did they once you got your records out on Rounder Records, were they able to do anything with them? Was there ever any discussion about, well, do you know how to sell these records now? Do we care if you sell these records? Did they want to sell the records? What did they do with the record, if anything?
Well, I'm not sure what kind of numbers they got. I think they probably sold maybe 7,000 or 8,000, which is, like not bad considering.
Right.
And I know that there were a lot of problems with distribution. I know that a lot of people ordered the record, and besides not well, the story is that stores would order like 1 or 2 copies of a record, around a record, and then it would sell, and then there would be no follow-through because Rounder was going on so many records, and, did they want, they wouldn't go back and push the record company to, well, why don't you try 3 this time, or 5,
Yeah.
And at the same time, they had new records every month. I don't know how many records a month they were releasing.
Yeah.
How many they do now, but I know the people that ordered the record, would come into a store and say, "Here's the money, I want this." It would take frequently, 2, 3, 4 months before they even get it delivered.
Right.
So for a long time, shipping was kind of a stumbling block in their operation.
And I gather there was no advertising. That was out of the question financially. The advertising was the band, I guess. You just had to get out there and...
Right. I have no idea what their promotion was like, or what the promotion was like at the time.
Yeah. And I don't know that there was much of it. I've tried to pin that down, but I think it's kind of Quicksilver-like. I just don't think there was much of it.
Okay.
But then you did the Going Nowhere record, Going Nowhere Fast, right?
Well, the next one was the Have Moisey.
Was that next? Okay, I thought Going Nowhere Fast was next.
No,
okay.
Have Moisey was recorded in 75.
Okay.
And Alleged was recorded in 72 and released in 74.
Right. Okay, that's right. Have Mercy, and that's a tremendously fun record, I think, for a lot of people.
Oh, it's good. It's on Spin's Top 100 alternative albums. Well, the old Spin when they had the old editor.
Right.
And Bob Christgau picked it as the record of the year in 75, and the New York Times had it in their top 20.
Right.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
It really bears up.
And how did that? How was the feeling in the studio doing that? And was there involvement by the label? Just how did that record come together?
Well, we had talked when the rest of the guys went to Oregon. We had discussed the possibility of someday getting together with the extended musical family and make a record with everybody on it.
Right.
And so this is just kind of one of those, hey, let's do it someday.
Right.
But the West Coast Rounders were on. Well, they'd gotten together with Jeffrey Fredericks and Jill Groves, and they'd been doing a 2 bands in 1 thing.
Right. Those guys did. They were the Clamtones, right?
Yeah. A show would be a Clamtone set and a Rounder set. The Rounder set would have Weber, and the Clamtones would have no Weber, but Jeff and Jill.
Right. Yeah.
And then the third set would be another Clamtone set. Then that would be the show.
Yeah.
And so Jeff and Jill were out here with Robin and Dave.
Right.
And Robin actually called Rounder and said, look, let's do what if we do, us and Hurley and these guys are playing with, and Peter does do an album together, and they said that sounds fine, and the whole thing was done in about 3 days flat.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did some rehearsals for the everyone played together and did a couple of, well, the rehearsals were a couple of bar gigs basically.
Uh-huh.
And the cover of someone throwing a bottle at a violin. You remember the cover?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was actually Michael's sister.
It's kind of a barroom scene, right? It's got the swinging doors. That's what I remember, like the Dodge City doors
Right,
and the yeah.
right.
Okay.
Michael's sister, I forget which one, in a moment of exuberance, threw a beer bottle at the stage. This is when the band was taking a break, and the beer bottle hit Robin's fiddle, which was just leaning against, and the neck popped off.
Right.
And she was completely, oh my God, Robin, oh my God, what have I done? Oh my God. And she was trying to give Robin her Jeep because to make up for it. Here, take my Jeep.
Right.
Here's my Jeep. And everyone was completely, chicken with the head cut off, running around, but except for Robin, because it was actually a clean break. It just kind of, the neck came off, but it came off without a splinter,
Yeah.
So you just had to glue it and clamp it. Everything was fine.
Now, who was it? It was Robin who took that record to the Rounder label, or did Michael do that?
Well, it was Robin who shot the idea.
Okay.
To Rounder.
Okay.
And Rounder said fine, and everyone was, sort of there at the time.
Right.
And so we did a bunch of the how many of us? God. Oh, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 10 odd musicians did a number of bar gigs for Rehearse Ward.
Okay. Did a number of what? I'm sorry.
Bar gigs.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you kind of in touch with what the Rounder label was doing generally then? Did you pay any attention to them, or was it just some people that put out your records periodically when you made them?
Oh no, because I used to I'd get a lot of their records because they were doing a lot of records that I was really
Right.
interested in.
Right. Okay.
And I also made some side money doing record reviews.
Okay.
And my philosophy was to look for records I liked
Yeah.
and write good things about them, as opposed to
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's that was how I approached this book. This is when I
Okay.
approached Rounder. Yeah. Okay.
So I was actually going through their catalog to look for stuff to tout at the time. So I was following them pretty closely.
Yeah. Okay. Were you surprised at all to see them kind of maintain from the early days? By 76, they probably had 50 records out or something like that. I'd have to look at my lists, but I don't know. Did it surprise you that they just kind of kept it going to the extent that they did?
Well, not really, because they were really into it,
Mm-hmm.
and they the combination of enthusiasm and actually and action,
Right. Right.
is a pretty formidable combination.
Sure.
I hadn't thought about the unlikeliness of their success at all. It just seemed that and also they weren't really looking to make anything like the money that they ended up making.
Right.
Their first breakout hit was George Thorogood.
Right. Right.
And that was, when was that? That was...
It would be 78, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that actually put them over the edge as far as being a money-making operation goes.
Right. Right. Now, did things change with that, Bob? Did you notice that the Thorogood experience changed them for the better or for the worse, or just put them into shock or in any way whatsoever?
Well, they... between that and the fact that they started distributing myriad small labels
Right.
that they had to expand.
Yeah.
And that's never easy.
Yeah.
And as far as I could tell, they were handling it really well.
Right.
One thing that they did change when they started out, they thought that it was unfair for the artist to pay for the recording session, which is of course the industry standard.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then to pay out the session through your minuscule, often royalty.
Right.
So they actually paid for the session themselves,
Yeah.
which they did in the case of the Alesh album.
Mm-hmm.
But what they found was that musical groups would tend to take advantage of that and be extremely self-indulgent in the studio.
Okay.
And they found that the bills were making the difference between making a profit and not making a profit.
Okay.
So they decided I think by the time Have Moisty was recorded, they had changed that policy to the standard one of the artist pays for the session.
Right. Right. And
But
that.
they were doing it that way through 74. Through 72.
They were paying for the session too.
They were paying, yeah, and I'm not sure at what point that they, because they were talking about the fact that in 72, as I recall, that often people were going to the studio and, taking 3 times as long as they would have if it would have been on their dime.
Right. Right. Did you get to know the three of them equally well?
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you describe, and this may be a hard question or unfair question, but I'm trying to get a sense of whether or not each of them brought different things to the table, had different skills, did different things. Did you ever get a sense of them as individuals vis-a-vis the way they worked with the artists and did the label work?
Well, what they did was, at first they seemed to basically take turns doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea being that everyone could handle any task that came up.
Okay.
And what happened was that I think Bill ended up having more interest on going on the road and doing recording there.
Mm-hmm.
Ken somewhat less so, and Marion somewhat less so still. This is my impression. I'm not sure whether it's exactly accurate.
Right.
And so eventually, rather than simply taking turns doing everything, they started finding things that they enjoyed doing more that they would then spend more time doing.
Okay.
But I believe that Ken and Marion were when we met them, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I believe.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And subsequently broke up and had nothing. Didn't interfere with the company in any way. It was just
Right.
I know that Bill had an interest in comic books, which I shared.
Right.
And so whenever we would be in town and staying there, I would always have a yard of new comic books to read, which was great. Which is another great affinity that I felt for them.
Right. And I gather the work just went on most of the time. There was no real separation between life and work, at least in the 70s, as far as they were concerned.
No, it was it was their home, it was their work, it was what they did.
Yeah.
And there was so much of it to do that they were pretty full time.
Yeah.
And I think that by 73 or 4, they may have had only 2 or 3 other employees.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at what point they really started getting much bigger.
Right. It probably wasn't until after
The
the Thorogood thing. Yeah, I've tried to pin that down and talk to some of the early employees, but it's just a handful of people until the late 70s. Did you ever get a chance to observe the way in which they worked with employees? Because the whole idea of employees, as you said before, is something that made them a little uncomfortable. They thought having them was wrong or something. But
right.
But did you ever get a chance to notice how employees kind of fit into the mesh?
Well, at first it had an extremely family feel,
Mm-hmm.
or sort of a commune kind of feel.
Right.
Only, there's a tradition in Boston of communal living with, like I know people that were living in communal situations, but it was a case of rather than a social political thing, it was a economic thing.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
A number of people would share a house, and the household duties were organized, and people would, always have things that they were in charge of doing, which they would then do, like
Right.
shopping, garbage, cooking, dishes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And which because the one problem with communes is that they would attract lazy bums who would want to be taken care of,
Yeah.
So on one hand they were sort of communal, on the other hand they were more in the everyone holding up their end of things approach, as opposed to the the degraded commune approach.
Right.
Not everything was. I mean, when everyone was basically living together, it's sort of quite egalitarian.
Right.
And I don't know what year it was that they finally had to separate the business from the house.
Yeah.
And I don't recall whether I don't know whether they simply got another place for the records because they ran out of room and it was auxiliary, and I don't know when they actually moved to separate places as opposed to all sharing a home.
Right. It was Marion, and it came in spurts. Marion moved out first in the late 70s, largely because she wanted some semblance of another life at a few hours a day. Bill has said to me she couldn't sleep because they used to go to bed after Marion and Ken had broken up, and they'd go to bed in separate rooms. He and Ken would lie on their beds, and they would talk to each other, like yelling through the hallways, because they still had label concerns. And Marion would say, "Shut up, I'm reading a book," or something like that. And finally she moved out. Which is I always thought that was a funny image of them yelling about label business through the darkened hallways at night because they couldn't go to sleep yet. You made the Going Nowhere record after the Thorogood thing. Did that have an impact as far as you could tell, or was it for you and Weber kind of business as usual with the label?
Well, Ronder always really wanted to do a just me and Weber Holy Modal Rounder album.
Right.
And so it was a case of and Weber was on the East Coast again for another funeral.
Okay.
This is as opposed to the 1979 funeral as opposed to the 1977 one.
Right.
And so I had decided that I really wanted to do a Last Holy World Runners album anyway, a Last Me and Weber album, because I thought that it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And so Ronner was very eager to do it because they always wanted to do that as well.
Yeah.
But sales, and again, we only had a week to do the whole thing, because Weber was he had everything to go back, which was, which you couldn't change.
Yeah.
And the record didn't do well. It only sold about maybe 3,000 or 4,000 copies, which was a lot less than Ronner had anticipated.
Right.
And so we had planned to do a live recording to follow it up when it was released in '81.
Yeah.
Weber and I did a mini tour going from Durham to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was to make a live recording in Boston at the end of the gig and do a double album.
Right.
And I worked out a whole bunch of new songs. I wanted to record a whole bunch of new stuff, and we actually had enough time to do it because the whole tour took maybe about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we were hanging out together for the whole thing, and we had a chance to work out new material. But the sales were so disappointing that Ronner, had no interest to do a double album. Despite the fact that we recorded it, we're still trying to get it released. I've talked to Adelphi whether they want to do it or not. They've heard anything that's kind of low quality.
The label, the Rounder label does?
Adelphi.
Oh, Adelphi. Okay.
Yeah. Personally, I think that it has definite flaws, but I think that it's well, I picked out 30 songs which I think are just fine.
Right.
It could be better, but some are great, and a lot of them are definitely okay.
Yeah.